Hey guys, it's Jordan from Florida coming at ya. For those who have liked, shared, subscribed, thank you so very much. I do greatly appreciate it. Please continue to share the message. It's very important that we continue to expose the abuse, corruption, and absolute depravity that's going on inside of Florida Department of Corrections, specifically at Lowell. That's what this video is about. This video is about Lowell and certain corrections officers there. So please stay tuned for this entire episode for some very important information regarding such. We've got Keith Turner, Kalisha Williams, and Dustin Johnson all in the headlines here recently, all around Lowell Correctional Institution. So for those just tuning in, Lieutenant Keith Turner worked at Lowell Correctional Institution despite years worth of incident reports and grievances about him sexually abusing inmates, mistreating inmates, using excessive uses of forces of inmates, coercion, extortion, things of that nature. This guy was promoted to the rank of lieutenant. There was a woman named Cheryl Weimar. There is a woman named Cheryl Weimar who is still incarcerated at Florida Women's Reception Center, which is across the street from Lowell, confined to a bed because she is now a quadriplegic. The reason she is a quadriplegic is because this woman was confined to a wheelchair. She was given the duty of cleaning a toilet that she feasibly could not clean because of her medical condition and the fact that she is in a wheelchair. And let me say this. For those that think you can just go willy-nilly and go get a wheelchair up in prison, and especially at Lowell, this woman had to have had some kind of grave condition that prevented her from walking, because they do not just issue those out there. So for this woman to physically not be able to do this, she tells him, I can't do it. Lieutenant Turner and his buddy Ryan Dionne, both of Ocala, Florida, scumbag extraordinaires, these two shitbags, pick this woman up out of her wheelchair. They knee her in the neck for not cleaning a toilet. Please understand how fucking severe that is. These are corrections officers meant to ensure the care, custody, and control of said inmates. And for them as men, and I know Turner personally, and he's like my size. He is a very small man, and he's a very angry man because of that. And he has to use prison and children, we'll get to that here in a second, to get his rocks off. But nonetheless, this man is a small-statured man. I don't know about Ryan Dionne. I'm only assuming he's probably about Turner's size, maybe a little bit bigger. But for these two men to pick a woman up, a disabled woman up out of her wheelchair and knee her in the neck, then drag her and beat her. They drug her by her feet. Her head is bobbing on the ground. So this woman is a quadriplegic, is confined to a bed. She's still shackled in there, as a matter of fact, and she is at FWRC across the street from Lowell. Ryan Dionne nor Keith Turner were ever arrested for this. However, several months after this case came out, Keith Turner was arrested for sexually molesting, raping two little girls over the past several years, meaning more than 5, less than 10. And is now facing prison time because of child sex crimes. So his court dates are 8:30 a.m. in Judge Herndon's courtroom on March 16th of 2020. He has a pretrial conference. He has another pretrial conference the following day on the 17th at 1:30 p.m. He then has a jury selection coming up on March 30th at 8:30 a.m., all in Judge Herndon's courtroom. Andy Ingram was his attorney. It does look like he's withdrawn. I don't know if that still stands and if Turner's going to go in there pro se or what. But homie, man, I hope when you watch this, your butthole like clenches up, because it's going to need to. First off, you know you're going to go to protective custody, and you know what that entails, Turner? That entails you going into a cell for 23 hours a day, mostly 24, because like they let you out to shower like every 3 days, I think it is. So you don't even get like, you know, a full hour out each day. I do know that you are going to be treated like shit when you get there. Whenever, wherever, whatever institution it is that finally gets to keep you, homie, you're not going to like it. Because first off, there are a lot of good officers who will withhold things from you just for being a scumbag and making them look bad. Then there's other officers who are already shitbags, and somebody like you is easy prey. Then you have to worry about the inmates. And I just want you to know, every single time that you sent somebody to confinement unfairly or took their game time, like mine, you remember the night that you grabbed my ass and asked me on a date to go to Felix's? Remember that time? Yeah, I got 30 days lost of game time because of that. Nonetheless, all those times, you're going to be sitting in your cell, homie, and you're going to be so destitute, you're going to want to kill yourself because that's what it does to you. It dehumanizes you. You're going to be hungry. And that goes for every time that you made somebody throw their fucking tray out for no reason, just to be a terrible person. You're going to go hungry now. So the law of reciprocity is very, very real. So you're going to endure things in prison that you actually enacted for so many years on other inmates. And that is where the true beauty comes in at. Cheryl will win her lawsuit. Cheryl Weimar will absolutely win her lawsuit because there were too many witnesses that saw exactly what happened. And dude, you're going to have to be subpoenaed and you're going to have to like be extradited and come back to the county jail to endure all of those charges. Like when all of this happens. I'm sorry, not charges, because we know that the Florida Department of Corrections has not saw fit to arrest you, nor Ryan, Dionne, or anybody else regarding this situation. And we don't know why. I think it's disgusting. I think it's a slap in the face of that woman who can never walk again, who, despite being in a wheelchair, might have had some mobility left in her, and now it's completely stripped from her for no reason, for not cleaning a toilet. I wonder how many times either one of you like slapped your old ladies up or beat the shit out of your kids for not doing the same thing. You know, some menial task that no other parent would like blow up and like be caustic about. I wonder how many times your own families had to endure that abuse, because you cannot keep it business and pleasure all the time. Lines cross and it becomes intermingled. So Keith, I hope your whole butthole's like puckered up right now, because it's what you deserve, dude. You have a very terrible fate upon you, as does Kalisha Williams. Kalisha Williams, this woman put bleach. She poisoned another human being. That human being Alfredo Gunn. She is an inmate at Lowell Correctional Institution. She was in Tango Dorm on a battery, and I have spoken with this woman, was in Tango Dorm on the annex for a battery charge in confinement, had an argument with Officer Kalisha Williams the day before, and then this officer puts bleach in her food. And I looked up a lot of stuff on Psychology Today on the types of people that can poison another person. First off, race lines very rarely ever mix. So a white person usually poisons a white person. A black person usually poisons a black person. Officer Kalisha Williams is black, so is Alfredo Gunn. They seek out people who are in vulnerable positions. They make themselves out to be a caretaker and do-gooders of society when in fact they're undercutting. They have no self-esteem. They're manipulative and cunning and most often sociopathic. They often have a tendency to have Munchausen by proxy syndrome, which means that they're poisoning people within their own network of children. So children, adoptive children, kids you take care of, and also aging parents, people that are unable of taking care of themselves. So I would like to know if her kids have like belly aches all the time, or if they're constantly going to the school counselor with like tummy problems and headaches, or if anybody's seen anything, because that's not just something you do, it's something you graduate to. When you can go and put bleach in an inmate's food, that's a graduated process. It's not your first time. It's probably not your second time. You end up becoming comfortable. And again, these are quotes from Psychology Today. You end up becoming comfortable in that. And a poisoner is one of the most dubious people to contend with when it comes to murder and maiming another person. Bleach kills. It fucks up your nervous system. It obviously burns on contact with your mouth or any other skin. It's an absolute irritant. And for this woman to do that is vile as fuck. I mean, Jesus Christ. And again, Kalisha, when you're in PC, in prison, and you're hungry, and somebody's not giving you some pads or some toilet paper, and you got to sit there and figure out what you're going to do because all you got is a sink next to you in your own right hand, times are going to be tough. Times are going to be very, very tough for you. Your court date is coming up. It is on February 25th at 9 a.m. in front of Judge Stephen Rogers. Anybody out there who has a contact with a law firm, with an attorney, with a personal injury attorney that can help out this woman, Alfredo, while she's incarcerated, would be wonderful. The woman was in there for theft charges. She's in there for stealing shit. She does not deserve to be poisoned, no matter what anybody thinks about inmates. This officer had absolutely no right, just like Keith Turner and Ryan Dionne, had no right to use prison as their own playground to enact vengeance and sadism across the lines to people. It is not your right. It is not your duty. And there is an epidemic going on at Lowell as we see. Dustin Johnson, his court date for sexual misconduct is in front of Judge Toddy on March 10th at 1:30 p.m. He also has 2 other court dates. He was arrested for unlawful reward or compensation and introduction of contraband, which means he was bringing contraband into the prison, either for blowjobs, sex, or both. Happens to be one of the young ladies, was really smart, paid attention in the 90s to Monica Lewinsky, and she saved that little blue shirt. It had a semen on it. They sent the semen off to the lab. Lo and behold, it is the semen of Dustin Allen Johnson. It was a perfect DNA match, and that is why he was just arrested for sexual misconduct. I am curious as to why they gave him a bond, because that would have revoked his previous bond, if I'm not correct on that. When he was first arrested, he admitted the letter, because what happened was he was caught with a letter in his vehicle between him and another female. He admitted that the letter was in his possession, but he did not admit to any sexual activity with this woman at the time. Of course, the semen on the shirt told the true tale of that. And so again, this officer worked at Lowell Correctional Institution. So we have officers that are engaging in all types of shit behavior. They're promoted, they're protected. These few, thankfully, have been arrested. And again, Keith Turner was not arrested through the OIG's office at Lowell Correctional Institution. He was arrested by the Marion County Sheriff's Office for lewd and lascivious acts on 2 children. That is what he will go to prison for. That is what he will go to prison for. He will, I'm sure, be subpoenaed and depoted in regards to Cheryl Weimar and the civil case. And the fact that an inmate has to file a fucking civil case and cannot pursue criminal charges against their abusers is a disgusting law in Florida. We really need to work on changing that and giving victims, true victims, the right to pursue charges against their accusers, their perpetrators, no matter what position those people are in. Because it's a disgusting trend that's going on in our state right now, and people are being victimized one right after the next after the next. And again, all of these are coming out of Lowell. You won't hear this in the news, but just yesterday, an inmate was put into confinement and shipped because an officer passed out in the bubble. There were no officers responding to assist this officer. There was apparently a very thin, small inmate that was able to fit through the opening in the door, the flap, which is very, very thin. This inmate got in, assisted the officer. They then put the inmate in confinement and have shipped this inmate. Do you know what a slap in the face that is to humanity? That inmate risked her life. She risked her security. She risked everything to save somebody's life, and you penalize her. You give her terrible consequences. You shift her from one place to the next. Maybe her family was here. Maybe she got to see her kids, and now she doesn't. And it's of no fault of her own. I myself was shipped because I was told I had too familiar relationship with several staff members, including the warden of the institution, Chris Sutherland. And the day that she was promoted and moved off compound, I was put in handcuffs after the DMV vehicle left. I was responsible for creating and helping Miss Mose, Director of Education, create the Multidisciplinary Transitional Services Resource Room and the Identity Project, where we got Social Security cards, birth certificates, and eventually the DMV brought the mobile bus on the compound, and we were able to make inmates, within leaving 6 months, their ID. I worked from the ground up, from the first keystroke in that computer until the very last, with that day that I was handcuffed. I was put into confinement and shipped unfairly because staff had a vendetta and a vengeance against me. And that happens all the time. In these reports that I've been reading, you've got staff who are threatening witnesses with loss of gain time, with going to confinement, with loss of visitation, with loss of phone privileges, with loss of all contact with their family, simply because they witnessed the atrocious behavior that these fucking officers are doing. But these inmates are getting out, and they are getting out one by one, and they are slowly telling their story. Alfredo, when I spoke to this woman, the only thing that she asked is that Kalisha Williams know that she forgives her and she hopes she does better. In fact, I will read you the exact quote from Alfredo. Please make the world aware that I forgive Officer Williams and pray she learns self-restraint to think before taking actions instead of failing to plan ahead. This is from an inmate that was poisoned by an officer. And if an inmate has that kind of insight to say that about somebody that just perpetrated a crime against her, and that inmate's in there for perpetrating crimes, does that not show you the ability of prison to change someone's way of thinking? You have an inmate that's in confinement right now for saving an officer's life, when in fact her sentence should be commuted, but she's being penalized. And on the opposite end of that, you've got officers who are perpetrating terrible crimes against humanity. And you guys are just letting it slide the fuck on by. And all these politicians who don't think that this is going to affect you. Oh my dear. Senator Bogdanoff from down south, her daughter Dana just got put on probation. Again, this girl has got years worth of drug crimes. And because her mother was a senator, she's been let off time and time again. And she was just arrested again in Marion County, actually, for possession of heroin and several other things. But an article was done, and a news station ended up picking this up, because after this woman was let off on probation for terrible crimes, she was offered a job with the city of Orlando. Until this news station came, and we were like, oh yeah, somebody should pay attention to this shit. And this girl is still out there perpetrating her crimes. And her mother was a senator. In fact, they called her the Angel of Death, Ellen Bogdanoff. And apparently she liked to kill bills before they ever even reached the point they needed to. And so there's a trend with senators' kids, House reps' kids, all of these politicians' children who I've just been reading up on, and they are being arrested, but they're being put on probation. They never even see the inside of an actual prison cell. And if they did, if your children actually had to reap the same consequences that us lay people did, you would be astounded, and you would want these changes to be made, because these are mothers, these are daughters, these are sisters, and it doesn't matter what you think they did to their life to end up in the position that they are currently at. They do not deserve abuse to be bestowed upon them. It is disgusting and it's vile that we can allow this to happen. Kalisha Williams, Dustin Johnson, Ryan Dionne, Keith Turner, and so many other officers are using these prisons as their own personal playgrounds. I'm asking you, if you have any information, to email me at exposeabuse@Lowell. I will put that email address in the comments in the description below. That is exposeabuse@Lowell@gmail.com. Please email me. I know I already know that some of you fucksticks are going to email me some real stupid shit. So just beware. I will call you out on it. I have no patience to play with you shitbags. If anybody wants to tell the truth about things, but keep your name anonymous, I will respect that. But please don't just come with some willy-nilly bullshit story and expect me to believe it, because I'm like Sherlock Holmes with a JJ, okay? It just doesn't fly like that. I'm pretty educated and I can see through bullshit. So if you'd like to communicate with me, exposeabuseatlowell@gmail.com. I will go over these court dates one more time. Keith Turner, 8:30 in the morning on March 16th, 1:30 p.m. March 17th, 8:30 a.m. on March 30th, all in Judge Herndon's courtroom. Kalisha Williams, February 25th at 9 a.m., Judge Stephen Rogers' courtroom. Dustin Johnson, 1:30 p.m. on March 10th in Judge Toddy's courtroom. All of these officers need to see us there. The judges, the state's attorney need to see us there. If we all wear the shirts that we've worn at the protest, or make up a new shirt, or just stand like with a peace sign that says fuck Lowell or something, they need to know that our presence is there, because these officers need to be held accountable to the letter of the law the same way that we all were. And these victims definitely need us to stand in their stead. Please show up, for all y'all feeling froggy, just know I roll with security. Okay, so just saying. For everybody else, I will see y'all there.